I shall refresh my browser. Okay, so we've got the iPhone 8 in with suspected water damage on the phone from 2 weeks ago. So we're going to open that up in a second and have a look inside. Suspected water damage on the phone. Mute that. That's going to be interesting. Right. Here we are. Okay, I'm going to flip the camera around, yeah?
Okay.
Alright, that's it in view. Now, I've taken the liberty of giving it a quick charge just to see what happens. The battery is charging. The trick will be to see if it holds charge. So we're at 6%, time is 16:24. So we'll test it for 2 minutes, see what the drop rate is. Whilst that's going on, we've got the 2 pentalobe screws. That is the 5-star screw. They come out of the bottom next to the charging port. I'm going to take the spudger next, and we're going to open her up and have a look at the inside. And if it was bad water damage, I expect to see rust everywhere. If it's not too bad, then could possibly just look no different. So for the iPhone 7 and 8 series, you start off at the bottom. Just go in 0.5 mil, maybe 1 millimeter with your spudger, and then work up the sides. Now this screen's been replaced before, so it's come apart quite easy. What you want to do next is take the screen and kink it at an angle so that it opens up and takes the hooks away from the top, and then you open it up like a book. Unlike the iPhone 6 series and 5 series and pretty much everything before that, where it opens up bottom to top. Right, so from the video we did earlier, all these screws in the iPhone 7 were for a tri-screwdriver. On the 8 series, it is a Phillips, so nice and simple. Remember, if you're needing the tools to have a go at it yourself, we will have them in the store and written up in the description soon enough, so you can purchase them from our store. If you're local, you can just come in and buy them straight off. So what we're doing now is just having a quick look under the plates, making sure there's no oxidization or rust or anything like that. The fact that the screens even come on after water damage is quite good. Okay. This is magnetism. So I like to keep my screws in order so that I know exactly which screw goes where in which plate or part. There we are. Right, actually looks pretty clean on the underneath, and the water indicator on the top here isn't even tripped. There's no doubt there has been some liquid get in, but not enough to trip anything. So we're going to take the screen off in just a second. We have got touch functionality. I said drop the percentage already. In 2 minutes, that's fine, that's kind of expected. Right, so for the battery, you follow the cable up from the bottom till you find where it's resting. So from this one, it is that one there. So we move that away and then disconnect the cables here and the one at the top there. That is the phone apart. Now they did say that it was 2 weeks ago when it got water damaged, but there's nothing too much in here. A little spot here and a little spot here. Other than that, it looks absolutely fine. I think we got lucky. It must have been pulled out of the sink pretty quick. Right, so I'm going to show you how to replace the screen now. As the screen's being replaced, everything else seems to be working absolutely fine. So with this particular model, it's exactly like the iPhone 7 screen in the way that it's laid out. Although I will say that the clips are slightly different because Apple like to make sure that you can't use the same thing twice for another phone. Unless it is the iPhone 8 and the iPhone SE 2nd Gen, which pretty much uses all the same parts. Right, so we're missing a screw up the top here. Just check that that's not sitting in the phone. Not tucked away. No, okay, just missing. Also missing a screw from the bottom here. That could have fallen out at any time as we've got a large hole down the bottom. All other screws seem to be present. The phone will still work without those screws, that's not a problem. So normally 6 screws for the speaker, but only 5 on this occasion. So what we're taking apart here is the front camera housing and speaker housing. There we are. Now if we lift the camera up ever so gently, stuck to this. Now we see 4 little gold dots there, and that corresponds to these 4 springs here. One of the springs is damaged, but it's probably still working. Right, switching screwdriver to the try now, and we're going to start off on the sides, taking off the large cover plate. Now the screws for this particular plate can go back in any order because they're all the same size, so you don't have to worry too much, but I still like to put them in some sort of order so that I recognise where they come from. So I'll go 3 down in 2 rows. There we are. Now we're going to take the home button apart. I'm just going to go 3 across, it should be 4. take that covering off as well. So what we do now is we take our spudger or thin instrument, and normally it would be glued to the back of this cable here, and you'd have to separate it with a little bit of torsion on it. Now that that's off, and now apply heat. Now if you're doing this at home, a regular hairdryer would do the trick. As we're doing this in the shop, we've got an actual dedicated heat mat, which I will put on video at some point. And it takes about 30 seconds to heat it up. If I'm doing it at home with the hairdryer, I'd probably have put it on a low setting and just make sure I didn't blow my screws all over the place. Now, with the iPhone 8, I would say it's a really good phone for those that are interested in owning one in 2021, especially for children. It's got good camera specs on it. It's still worth a pretty penny, even at second-hand prices. You're looking at between £50 for a damaged iPhone 8, right up to about £200 for a fully functioning, fully working iPhone 8 that's pretty much mint condition. If I just bring up some info here, oh, that'll be the heat mat. There we are. Now the iPhone 8, when it is released, a brand new, basically, it is IP67 rated. So basically, that means it is rated to go underwater for up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. So it does come with its own sort of protection, but as this screen had been replaced before, it loses that protection straight away. Now normally you would have to peel that off and it'd be a lot tighter and a lot more adhesive down, but as like I keep saying, it's been replaced before. If it's too tight to pull, you'll feel it. You don't give it too much tension. What you want to do then is just apply a little bit more heat to the underside via hairdryer or heat gun, or in my case a heat mat, and that should then make that easier. And I use the tweezers then to separate it from this section here. You use the strength of the tweezers themselves to lift it off of the cabling. Right, so up here we've got the front camera. So I can bend that back so you can have a look. I believe that is, I think it's 7 megapixels. I could be wrong. I shall double check later on. Right, so under this we then have the light sensor. The light sensor is used primarily for when you're making a call and the phone's up next to your face, that it goes dark so you're not pressing any buttons or anything. The screen functions with your cheek. What we're going to do now is just tease in the corner here, just underneath. And as we do that, just separating the adhesive from the back plate of the phone. I think I've taken the whole thing. Yes, I have. Right, that's that screen done. There we go. So everything is now ready to be transplanted straight across to a new screen. I'm just going to take the plastic covering off of the new screen. There we are. Right, so now where we want to start is with the largest item, the backplate. And you just line it up with its screw holes and get those in straight away. So it was these 6 facing down the way. So, quick turn anti-clockwise just to find the threading, and then the rest is clockwise. There we are, 2 in. Want to go this side. And now for the other 3 on the other side. If I can get the screw to sit nice. I think remagnetise the screwdriver to it. There we go. So the worst thing about these phones is if you've got bad eyesight, you can barely see the screws. They're getting smaller and smaller by the year. Right, last one for this side. Make sure everything's working fine in the right order. Right, so I'm going to do the home button now. And what I'm going to do is peel away the section here and fit the home button up from the bottom and through. Lift that section there and allow the rest of the flex to sit underneath. There should be a little peg there that it just sits on. That's nice. And then fold over and click in place. Don't put too much pressure because you could damage the home button there. Same when it comes to the screws. I'm going to hold that in place and then put these 3 screws back in position. There we are. Moving to the top now. You'll see on the strip with the gold dots on it for where the loudspeaker attaches and connects, there are 2 holes either side. If you look at the screen, then you've got 2 pegs for that to sit on. So I'm just going to pop that in place now. It'd be pretty cool if I could have a Blue Peter moment. Here's one I did earlier. Now that that's sitting in place, I'm just going to make sure the light sensor fits in snugly into its hole, which it does. Then we're going to get the loudspeaker, place it over the gold contact and line up the screw holes so that we know it's in position. Then fold over the front facing camera and hold that in place. Now we've got the cover plate. Slide that in so that everything matches up. Now if I remember right, this screw was missing at the beginning, so it is that one in this hole here, and this one right here. Yep, so that holds it in. This screw here is used for holding this part in place, which is just the ear hole mesh. Okay, so now flip that around and we go bottom right. This is where it does not want to behave. Definitely not. We'll clockwise twist just to find the threading and screw into place. Now you definitely don't want to get these screws in the wrong order. If you put too long a screw in one section, you could end up just screwing right through your screen and ending up with the same problem you started with. There we are. That is the screen transplanted over. Now, looking much better. Here's the rest of the phone. So it was pretty good for a water damaged phone. It's still charging, the power is still flowing through the motherboard, so that's pretty good. So we start with the top wire there, and you start in an upwards fashion so that you've got the leverage to be able to get in behind there. Then you take this plate and we work on this end first. Slide that into place, and this is where it gets the fiddliest, if you like. There we go. We'll twist on it clockwise and then clockwise all the way. So that's top, here's bottom, and then all the way to the left. Right, now that last section's done, we put it down, not all the way down, and flip it round as if you're opening a book backwards. You take the bottom ribbon, and you just feel it, click it into place. Again, not too much pressure, you don't want to break the teeth or anything. There you go, I don't know if you can hear that click, but that's it in place. Last but not least, the battery. And then slide the plate over to finish off the job. Now, on the iPhone 8 it is Phillips for this section, on the iPhone 7 it is tri-screws. So there's the top one in, and again these screws have got to go back in the right order. Bottom right, centre, and far left. And there she is. So, looking at that two clips there at the top, the two metal brackets, you just slide that into place, firmly pressing down the top, and then push the sides in place. You should hear a nice little click in place. And then if we go back to the pentalobe, we can get those two screws back in the bottom. There we go. Thanks for the thumbs up, whoever that was. She looks to be good. Still at 6%. There we are. Job's a good one.